The first year felt effortless, like we were moving in sync without trying. Alyssa woke up early, cooked breakfast, kissed me on the cheek before work. She asked about my job sites with real interest, not just polite noise. On weekends, she'd ride in my truck, laughing at the dust and toolboxes. She talked about wanting something real, not Instagram real, but life real. We shared grocery lists, Sunday meal preps, and quiet nights watching shows. Our apartment felt warm, like two people working toward the same horizon. She'd point at houses online and say, "One day, we'll have one like that." She meant it then, or at least she sounded like she did. Back then, she wanted a life, not a brand. But year 2 arrived like a slow leak in the ceiling. Quiet at first, then constant. The brunch crew came in, the high-value talkers, the queen energy-only crowd. Suddenly, every Sunday wasn't our time. It was content time. Outfits, poses, captions about independence while I paid the gas. She didn't say she was better than me, but the tone started to shift. She called me steady, then said it like it meant boring. She bought designer bags and called them investments in my image. She laughed at my steel-toe boots and flannels, said I looked too blue-collar. I laughed it off, thinking phases happen, people adjust, love stays. But she didn't adjust. She climbed a ladder no one asked her to climb. She wasn't chasing success, she was chasing applause. Likes became validation, comments became oxygen. Every dinner felt like an audition for a life she didn't have yet. She didn't ask how my day was anymore, just if I could take her picture again. Plans shifted from, we should save for a house, to we deserve luxury now. I didn't realize yet that we meant me paying and her posing. I covered groceries, utilities, her streaming subscriptions, and half her car payment. She called it teamwork, but her teamwork stopped at her own wallet. Every time I mentioned budgeting, she called me controlling. Every time I mentioned saving, she said I lacked vision. She didn't want stability anymore. She wanted a lifestyle without earning it. But I held on, hoping the old Alyssa was still in there somewhere. I kept believing in the vision board she once talked about. I worked overtime thinking effort could fix drift. I thought if I stayed patient, she'd meet me in the middle again. I didn't know she had already walked past the middle and never looked back. The gap between us wasn't a moment. It was a choice, repeated daily. And I didn't leave, not because I couldn't, but because I was still hopping. Hopping love would catch up to reality. Hopping she'd remember partnership, not performance. Hopping we were still two people building, not one building and one recording. Sometimes the worst changes aren't sudden. Sometimes they're slow, subtle, disguised as growth. And by the time you see it clearly, you're already standing alone in the same room. By the time we got engaged, I thought things would settle, not spiral. I imagined planning a life, a home, a quiet future built brick by brick. But Alyssa didn't want a life. She wanted a spectacle. The engagement ring wasn't a symbol to her. It was a prop. Suddenly, everything had to be perfect for pictures, not real life. We toured venues she couldn't spell and couldn't afford. She talked about floral arches, ice sculptures, drone videography. Not once did she mention partnership, only aesthetics. When I asked about budgeting, she rolled her eyes like I was beneath ambition. If we're doing this, we're doing it right, she kept saying. Doing it right meant me paying. I showed her the savings I'd been building for years. She smiled like she deserved it and hadn't lifted a finger for it. When I asked how much she planned to contribute, she looked genuinely confused. As soon as I have time to figure finances, I will, she said casually. Time. She had time for facials, brunch, spa weekends, new outfits. Just not time to act like someone preparing for marriage. I tried again. Gently, hopping tone could fix reality. She brushed me off, kissed my cheek, and changed the subject to her nails. It was like talking to someone, wearing headphones tuned to applause. I mentioned the pre-approval for a house, and asked if she wanted to co-sign. She laughed, not a nervous laugh, a superiority one. Why would I tie myself to a mortgage right now? That's so permanent. Marriage apparently wasn't permanent to her. Only her image was. That laugh didn't break me. It clarified me. I was a foundation she stood on, not a partner she stood with. But the moment that snapped the last thread came quietly. We argued again about money, future plans, responsibility. She had a face mask on, hair wrapped, scrolling her phone. I asked calmly, "If you won't invest in us, what future are we building?" She didn't even look up. "If you don't like it, then leave." No hesitation, no awareness. Just entitlement dressed as empowerment. I felt something shift inside me, not anger, not despair. Just clarity. "All right," I said. She thought I was bluffing. She smirked, like she had won some invisible argument. I didn't raise my voice, didn't threaten, didn't plead. Because real endings don't always sound dramatic. Sometimes they sound like breathing for the first time. The next morning, she hugged me half-heartedly and rolled her suitcase out. She posted an airport selfie captioned, "Chasing the bag." I stared at that caption longer than I should have. She wasn't chasing anything but attention. 3 days into her trip, my phone rang FaceTime. Alyssa smiling in a luxury hotel suite, glass of champagne, fake laugh. She toured the room like she was hosting a reality show. Then she said she'd shower and left the camera running by accident. On her iPad at home, synced to her phone, a message popped up. "Ryan, love falling asleep with you after these trips." I didn't react, didn't blink. I ended the call. Opened her messages. And that's when denial died and strategy began. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I didn't throw things like some movie scene. I just stared at the messages and felt everything go quiet inside me. A different kind of silence, not shock but precision. She wasn't just cheating emotionally. She used my points, my card, my life. There were photos, hotel confirmations, little jokes about me being safe. I wasn't a partner. I was a backup generator she plugged into when life needed power. So I made a list, a clean, calm list. Account closures, password changes, document sorting, exit plan. No theatrics, just math, law, and self-respect. I called Eric, my closest friend since high school, now a lawyer. I didn't whine or break down. I stated facts. He didn't ask how I felt. He asked for dates, screenshots, account info. "Don't confront her," he said. "Move smart, move first." And so I did. I froze the joint card, but left her personal one open. Not out of spite, out of evidence. If she spent on my dime again, it was proof, not pain. I moved half our joint savings out and left her half untouched. She would never be able to say I stole anything. I updated login info and utilities and streaming accounts. Not to cut her off, but because I no longer shared a life with her. I reviewed our lease, my name, my credit, my responsibility. There was a clause for early termination. I highlighted it and placed the paper aside for later. I boxed my belongings quietly, starting with things she wouldn't notice. Tools, documents, sentimental items she ignored. Every label neat, every step planned. I wasn't running. I was relocating my peace. At night, I still texted her back like nothing happened. "Hope your trip is going well. Don't forget to save receipts." Let her believe the performance wasn't over. Meanwhile, I toured apartments. Found one with sunlight in the morning and space for a workbench. Signed the lease, pick up date set. I didn't tell a soul except Eric. Not even my brother until the last night. I installed a small camera near the entryway, legal, for evidence. Not because I thought she'd destroy things, but because I realized she might. The more someone depends on illusion, the more violent the shattering. 5 days before she returned, I moved tools and important items into the new place. I didn't take her things, didn't touch her clothes, her vanity, her plants. She could keep her props. I was taking my reality. 2 days before she landed, I rented a truck and called my brother Jack. No speeches, just work. We loaded everything I paid for: washer, dryer, coffee machine, router. He didn't ask questions until the last box. "You good?" he asked. "I'm better than I've been in a long time." We left at midnight, the apartment echoing empty. On the fridge, I taped the highlighted lease clause, an itemized list of all expenses I carried. Not revenge, accountability. I placed the spare key on the counter and locked the door behind me. She told me to leave. So I did, with everything that was mine and nothing that was. Sometimes the most powerful goodbye is the one nobody hears. She landed on a sunny Friday afternoon, expecting comfort and applause. Her first text hit my phone like nothing had changed. "Just landed, can't wait to sleep in my own bed." 5 minutes later, another. "Why isn't my key working?" Then panic bubbled through the screen. "Where is your stuff?" "You took the coffee machine." "You took the Wi-Fi." I only replied once. "You told me to leave." I did. Silence lasted maybe 20 seconds before chaos arrived. Missed calls, voicemails, a storm of texts shifting tone by the minute. Confusion, anger, accusation, begging. "You abandoned me." This is emotional abuse. "I just flew for 9 hours. I need Wi-Fi to work." It was never about love, only convenience. I ignored the calls and sat on the floor of my new place, eating takeout. Peace tasted like freedom and pepperoni. Then came the knocking on digital doors, blocked number calls, then her dad. A stern text, self-righteous tone, warning me about how to treat a lady. He never liked me because I worked with my hands instead of sitting at a desk. I didn't reply. I owed explanations to no one who hadn't respected me in the first place. The next morning, the performance began. Instagram stories, when love turns toxic. Selfies with dramatic quotes, sad lighting, the full sympathy harvest attempt. But the internet didn't applaud this time. Someone recognized the hotel background from her work trip. Someone else commented, "Wasn't she in Paris with another guy?" A cousin asked publicly, "Didn't he pay for everything?" She deleted the story in under 2 hours. Then she tried Facebook, same result, more brutal. An aunt commented, "Sweetheart, maybe stop spending money you didn't earn." Her friend group fractured in real time. Influencer energy doesn't hit the same when the truth leaks. That afternoon, she tried sincerity. Long email about confusion, stress, being overwhelmed, never meaning it. I forwarded it to Eric. He replied, "Hold firm." An hour later, new email, not soft but venom. "You're petty. You're cruel. You ruined my stability. You're nothing without me." If stability meant being drained and disrespected, I was happy to be nothing. That week, she refused to leave the old apartment. Held parties like rebellion could undo consequences. The landlord called. Noise complaints, property damage. We scheduled a walkthrough. Beer stains on carpet, burn marks, broken cabinet. Her friends laughed like life had no bill attached. The bill arrived. Documented, photographed, processed through court. Default judgment, she owed repairs. Her shock turned into rage, then desperation. Emails begging, bargaining, promising therapy, self-work, miracle growth. She offered to rebuild together, like nothing happened. But remorse without accountability is just performance. By then, I was done watching her act. I blocked every number except email, her legal advice. She tried one last dramatic line. "You didn't fight for us." No. I fought for us long before she noticed the relationship collapsing. She only fought when her comfort was threatened. And by then, my heart wasn't leaving, it had already left. Court dates are never dramatic like movies. No slammed gavels, no screaming, no justice monologue. Just paperwork, signatures, and consequences silently delivered. She didn't show up to the hearing. Maybe she thought if she ignored reality long enough, It would rewrite itself. Default judgment entered. $3,200 owed in damages, scheduled at $50 a month. Not revenge, just accountability wearing a plain suit. When the notice hit her credit report, Eric emailed me a screenshot. Her score dipped, like her persona finally catching up to her decisions. People forget actions have credit scores, too. That same week, she tried a new tactic. Emails dripping in faux empowerment and half-inspirational quotes. Growth hurts, healing alone builds strength. She captioned it on Instagram with an edited gym selfie. But no likes, no comments, not even bots pretending to support her. Her shine had become a spotlight on nothing. The friendships she curated like accessories disappeared. Cassidy, her loudest hype woman, ghosted when the drama backfired. Turns out loyalty in fake friend circles lasts only until brunch ends. Meanwhile, another truth surfaced. Ryan vanished too. He didn't defend her, didn't choose her, didn't stay. Because romantic rebellion looks cute online until bills arrive. She tried pivoting to inspirational content. Empowerment coach, self-worth mentor, healing influencer. The videos got fewer views than a security camera feed. Someone commented, maybe start with paying people back. She deleted the account by evening. And real life hit harder than any comment section ever could. She lost her job. Team restructuring was the polite corporate phrase. But everyone knew she had burned more bridges than she crossed. A temporary customer service gig lasted 2 weeks. She quit because she was meant for more. But destiny doesn't arrive when ego sends the invitation. Her rent applications started getting denied. The credit hits mattered. Late fees stacked like reminders. Life doesn't bend to aesthetics. Eventually, she moved back into her parents' house. The same place she mocked others for returning to. Humility returns differently to each person. Hers arrived bruised and loud. Sometimes people don't fall from grace. They step off the pedestal they built and only notice the ground halfway down. During that time, she tried to find villains everywhere but the mirror. Called friends, begged for sympathy, pretended to seek closure. But you can't hold on to someone who let go long before impact. And you can't rebuild a life on denial. Meanwhile, Emily, the woman Ryan cheated on, reached out one last time. Thank you, I found my peace. I hope you found yours too. There was no bitterness, just survivor recognition. 2 people who escaped the same storm, different exits, same relief. I didn't celebrate her fall. Her downfall wasn't my victory, my peace was. Some lessons don't need cheering. Silence does the teaching better. And life does the collecting, whether you believe in karma or not. Healing didn't happen in a dramatic rush. It came slow, like sunrise slipping through blinds after a long night. I spent my first weeks in the new place learning stillness again. Coffee on a quiet counter. Shoes by the door that belonged only to me. Silence that didn't feel heavy anymore, just honest. Then Hannah texted me, simple, nothing romantic. Hey, heard things changed. Hope you're doing all right. No pity, no gossip, just presence. We met for coffee like 2 people, meeting at the middle of a bridge. She listened, without turning my pain into entertainment. She didn't dig into the drama, didn't want screenshots or story time. She just asked, are you sleeping okay? It was the most intimate question anyone had asked me in months. We started seeing each other, slow, organic, quiet. No flashy dates, no curated moments for public consumption. We went grocery shopping together before we ever posted a picture. She showed up on a Sunday with cleaning supplies and home tools. Let's make this place yours, she said, not ours. She respected timelines, emotional and practical. She laughed easily, not performatively. She didn't try to fix me, just sat beside me while I did the fixing. I learned peace isn't loud, it's gentle, consistent, steady. And love doesn't demand proof, it builds it. We cooked together, painted walls, picked curtains based on comfort, not content. She Venmo'd me when she said she would. She filled the fridge without posting a soft life caption. She never once asked what I could give her. She asked what we could build. I didn't feel like a safety net. I felt like a partner again. A few months in, we drove out to a small lake community. Old cabin, peeling paint, big yard, potential in every broken board. We walked through it holding hands and dreams instead of phones. I can see us here, she whispered. We bought it half and half, no hesitation, no ego. Every nail we hammered felt like reclaiming something. We sanded decks, fixed cabinets, argued about paint swatches, then laughed. Her dog slept at our feet, while we shared takeout on the floor like teenagers. No spotlight, no audience, just us. I never checked if Alyssa was watching. I didn't care anymore. The best revenge is not moving on louder. It's moving on quietly and never looking back. Meanwhile, her emails shifted from rage to apology to silence. Silence suited both our stories better. One evening, Hannah found a ring box in my drawer, the old engagement ring. She looked at it, then at me. No need to keep ghosts around, she said gently. We pawned it, bought a smoker grill, patio chairs, and charcoal briquettes. Cooked our first meal in the backyard, as the sun set behind the lake. She leaned her head on my shoulder. You did the right thing leaving, she murmured. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. Because peace doesn't always roar. Sometimes it just sits beside you at sunset. And instead of performing happiness for the world, I finally got to live it. I used to think closure came from long talks, tears, explanations. Turns out, closure is a quiet life lived far from chaos. It's waking up next to peace, not panic. It's knowing you walked away without screaming, without breaking, without losing yourself. One afternoon, months later, I found a small envelope in the mailbox. No return name, no message inside, just the ring I once offered. Not out of kindness, not out of remorse, just surrender. She couldn't sell the memory, so she returned it hoping it still had value. But I had already learned the truth. Value isn't in gold, it's in who stands beside you. I didn't feel anger, or victory, or nostalgia. Just gratitude that life gave me a second chance at choosing better. We sold the ring, grilled steaks in the backyard, and talked about paint colors. That night, I realized something simple and enormous. Sometimes leaving isn't losing. Sometimes it's finally starting. She once said, if you don't like it, leave. She meant it as power. I took it as permission. And walking away was the first step toward the life I should have had all along.